Okay, so I have my little setup here, and the first part of this is boring. First of all, I like to take my rings off so they don't get nail polish remover on them. So what you're gonna need is 2 Ziploc bags, and you're gonna need a paper towel, just one per bag, and you're gonna fold her up, and then I like to stick the paper towel down in there, like make a little pocket like that, and then take your nail polish remover and you're just gonna do a little pour into the bag, just enough, and then you just stick your hand in there so that your nails are like soaking in the thing. And then to speed up the process, you just like kind of rub your nails onto the paper towel as the SNS loosens up. And that's pretty much it. And then I kind of check on it every 20 minutes or so. I'll see you when that happens. It's kind of a long process and you have to be very patient, but it's worth it. Hi guys, so it's like 4 hours later. I did stop for a dinner break, but it has taken me this long to get everything off of my nails. Yeah, as you can see, it's still not all the way off, but I have made myself bleed multiple times with the nail file, so I'm giving up on getting it off, and I'm just gonna paint over it and hope for the best. So I have my setup here. So I'm gonna go in with the top or the base coat first. I basically wanted to talk a little bit about my therapy session today because it was very good and I learned a lot about myself. And it was one of those where I like learned a lot about where things that I do or like ways that I think, like where that comes from. So that was like really good. So I've told y'all before that I do struggle a lot with anxiety and depression. And so basically my therapist and I have been trying to figure out where it comes from or like when it started, all that kind of stuff, so that we can make like a game plan or like kind of know what to do. And today was really the first day where she was telling me where she thinks it comes from. And it was kind of like one of those breakthrough moments, which was really awesome, like, because for a while I've just been like, where is this coming from? Like, why is this happening to me? She was just like telling me all of these things. It's called the, what's it called? Polyvagal theory, I think it is. And it just like everything clicked today for the first time ever. Of like, oh, that's why I feel these things or think these things. And it's not necessarily just like anxiety and depression that I'm dealing with, or not necessarily depression, it's definitely anxiety. But basically that theory says that there's like 3 stages of like when your body is in fight or flight. That's like for a normal person. So you've got your normal person who's very social and connects with people, and they have their, I forget which part of the brain it is, their something system like tells them when they're in danger, and so they know to be in fight or flight. But for somebody who has anxiety, their body can't recognize whether the situation is actually dangerous or not. So she was explaining to me like my brain, due to anxiety and due to things from my childhood, never developed these things to differentiate between dangerous and non-dangerous situations. So my brain perceives everything as a dangerous situation, so I'm constantly in fight or flight. So it was very interesting and like mind-blowing, honestly, to like come to those realizations and like understand what's been going on with me. And it kind of was one of those things too where it was like, okay, I'm not crazy, like there's a reason behind all of this kind of thing. and it's not just coming from nowhere, and it's not something that's so out of my control. It's like now I know what the root of it is almost, and now we can work towards getting past it. So it was just a really, really good therapy session, and something that I talked to her about or asked her about that I feel like I deal with a lot, and I don't know if like you guys could relate, but recently I have been like, okay, there's a situation and I know that I should be happy. I am happy. I am. But I don't necessarily feel that happiness. It's more of just like, I know I should be happy, so I'm happy, if that makes any sense. Like I'm going through the motions and all that stuff. So I'm going in with the color now, by the way. So she said that kind of similar to what I was just saying, because your body, you know, has been perceiving everything as a dangerous situation, it keeps you from feeling those negative emotions or whatever, but it also can block out really positive things. So when you want to feel happy, your body just recognizes the adrenaline that like the happiness brings you, and will just say, oh no, adrenaline, fight or flight, danger, if that makes sense. So that was like pretty comforting to learn about that and just be like, okay, I'm not like psycho, I just have anxiety. But like I never really knew, I mean I know what anxiety is, but I never knew what that meant for me. Like you see anxiety as like panic attacks and I don't know, stuff that you see on TV or on social media, but anxiety is really different for everybody. Like my anxiety is way different from like what I thought anxiety was, if that makes sense. So it's helpful like figuring that out and like looking back on situations. Another part of this theory that she was telling me about was that like your body has a bodily response to these situations that can be like a warning or like a red flag that you are feeling anxious or that your body is in that fight or flight. So we talked about like what mine were, and for some reason mine is nausea. Like I don't necessarily have terrible panic attacks where I can't breathe and I feel like I'm dying all the time. That does happen sometimes, but that's like in extreme situations. Mine is nausea and like heartburn, which sounds really weird, but that is like my main bodily function or bodily reaction, I should say, that lets me know, oh, I'm in that fight or flight mode and this is an anxious situation for me. So it really is very interesting. I don't know if any of you care, but I know some of you can probably relate, and that's just one thing that I will forever want to do on my channel, is be a place where I just talk about things, even if they're hard to talk about, because I know that people go through hard things, and being able to see somebody, I know for me, being able to see somebody online who relates to what I'm going through can really help in situations. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It was just like a really good day, and because for a little bit there I was like, is therapy really helping me? Like, are we really making any kind of progress? Like, should I keep going and all this stuff? And then today was just like boom, you know. And my therapy isn't like a Christian-based therapy. That was, excuse me, that was something that I debated for a while, was like, do I want to go to like a Christian counselor or to just like a normal therapist? And I decided to just do normal therapy. I'm not really sure what made me make that decision. That's just the decision that I decided to make. But today it was like a very much a God moment for me, because I have been praying about this for a long time and just asking God like what's wrong with me, or you know, why can't I just be normal, or why is this happening to me? Like almost getting angry at him for like the things that were happening to me mentally. And today it was almost like he was like, I put therapy in your life so that you could work on this. And it's like therapy and God are not mutually exclusive, and that God can use therapy even though it may not necessarily be like a Christian counselor or whatever. God can use therapy and use people to work in your life. And that was like something that I really realized today, and it was just a good day. It was like a really good realization to have, and I felt really good about it. So I just wanted to share that, I guess. Not to be like, oh my gosh, listen to my great day, but like as like maybe some hope or encouragement, because I know I really didn't want to go to therapy at first, but it was like the encouragement of other people that really made me like want to. So if I can encourage just one person to like take that step and go to therapy, like that's all I ask, you know? So yeah, don't be afraid to go to therapy. Like it can be really scary, and like I got really lucky that I found a great therapist. Like the first therapist that I tried, I really clicked with, and I really enjoy her. And it doesn't always happen for people, and that might not happen for you, but I just encourage you to at least try, because half of the things I know now I would have never known on my own or never figured out on my own. And it's just like a really great tool, I think. And I know it can be expensive. That was like one of the things that really stopped me before, because I didn't want to ask my parents for help. But I couldn't really pay for an expensive therapist. So I highly recommend talking to your insurance and just seeing what they cover. And I went to goodtherapy.com. Literally, that's all I did. I went to goodtherapy.com because I saw it or heard on podcast something. And you can search all the therapists in your area. You can filter your search by like, this is not sponsored, it sounds sponsored, but it's really not. You can like filter your search by like the therapists that take your insurance, and you can see like their cost on there. You can just call them. Like, it's a great website, it's a great tool to use. So I highly recommend that. And ultimately, like, I did have to ask for help in paying for it, which was really scary because I don't know like who watches my videos or like how old my quote-unquote demographic is, but as a 20-something-year-old who's trying to become an adult and be on their own, it can be frustrating to have to ask for help from your parents because you want freedom and you want to be on your own. But this has been the most great experience that I would give up a little bit of freedom a million times over to have this in my life. Therapy, I mean. So I highly recommend therapy. And for those of you who are Christians and you don't really know if you want to do like a Christian counselor, I just like felt like I wanted the hardcore stuff and just like more about my brain, because I felt like that was what was going on more than an emotional thing. I thought it was more of like a brain thing. So I wanted like a therapist, but a lot of therapists, at least mine, does a great job of like incorporating your faith into the conversation. So that was really helpful for me to have my therapist do, and she just did it. I mean, I didn't really ask her, but yeah, so that's kind of the current situation, and we're just gonna work on more ways that I can cope with all of this. And basically the way she explained it to me was when I was younger, my parents got divorced when I was about 6 years old, And when you're at that age, that's when you develop your abilities to self-regulate your emotions. And because so much instability was happening around me at that age where all that stuff develops, I just never developed that. So that's why now all this anxiety happens, and that's why when a situation happens, I shut down and all that stuff. Not to get too deep, but it's just really interesting. It's the polyvagal theory. Look it up. I don't know. It's very interesting. But yeah, so that's basically what's been going on with me. I've been feeling better. I went off birth control. I think I told you guys that. And I think that's been helping not like get rid of my moodiness, but kind of like even it out a little bit. So that's been pretty helpful. So yeah, that's what's going on. I don't even know if you can see anything that I'm doing with my nails, so apologies, but I more wanted to just like chat with you guys about that because I think it's important. But anywho, I'm gonna keep painting my nails and I shall show you when they're done. And I love you guys. Alright, this is what they're looking like. It's very hard to see. I am not a professional, so that is why they look kind of ratchet. But I think overall they look pretty dang good. This side is even worse because I'm bleeding. Because I kept cutting myself with my nail file, but yay! Alright, and that completes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, especially for listening to me talk and ramble about my life and about mental health and just hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. I'm just really grateful. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are not already, and I will see you guys with tomorrow's video.